Hi, this time we're going to look at the review, start from meeting 1 until meeting 5 about critical reading. So bear with me, I'm going to give the explanation maybe a little bit longer compared to my previous videos. This one, it's more on our journey up to meeting 6 or meeting 5. Okay, let's do the review for critical reading. Now, what's important in a critical reading is text and context connection, like your background knowledge and so on. It's going to influence in the connection of the critical reading. Explicit and implicit claims and claims in the text, context and text development. So you're looking at the title, the author, the introduction. That's what I mean by the context of the development of the writing. In doing the critical reading, you should be able to look ways of thinking. So you should be able to identify the claim of facts. We have looked at least 5 texts, and then you read that, and then with the exercise and so on. So you should be able to identify which one is fact, which one is of policy, which one is valuable in the context. Yeah. So now let's look at critical reading as looking for ways of thinking. We have discussed this not directly, but I prompt you with a lot of questions. I give you a lot of text and tasks, and that's actually lead to ways of thinking while you're reading. So you have a text. There are 2 types. One is can be easily comprehend, and one is cannot be easily comprehend. When you comprehend a text, doesn't mean that you go deeper. So comprehension and your level, universal level, is not enough. You should go beyond that. So when we look at the meaning of words, will be implied in 3 ways: text, what is stated there, then your context or the reader's context. I mentioned earlier in week 2 that where you are from, that will influence the way of you read. The way you brought up in your family, that will influence the way you read. Then you have to look at also the other context, who they are. I give you an example of the text about robot surgery, and we look at the authors, that the authors of that is a journalist. Yeah, so the context is a journalist trying to write something about robotic surgery. Yeah, so we have to look at that carefully when we read a text. So simple reading involves identifying and recognizing meaning of the text, but critical reading is more advanced. So beyond the text, not just the meaning of the text. Then you analyze who wrote the text. You analyze the audience of the text. You analyze who you are. You analyze what's behind the text, who is the sponsor of the text, and so on. Yeah? Then critical reading is a type of reading where the reader analyzes, like you always analyze and interpret the reading materials. So you are not looking at the difficult word only, you are not looking at the main idea of the paragraph only, but then you analyze that, and then you try to draw a conclusion or interpret the reading material. Yeah, you look at the logical ideas, you look at the connections. Yeah, so that's a critical reading. I try to compare 2 things so that to give you ideas clearer. Simple reading give the basic definition of text. It's there. You don't need to think, yeah, I understand this, finish. That's it. Critical reading, it's recognizing basic definition of text. Then you have to do a reflection. What does this text mean? Then you have to make judgment. You have to look for other information beyond what's stated in the text. In high school, this one is enough. In the university level, you have to go beyond that one. Simple reading, the central idea is the message being imparted there. Then critical reading, the goal is to recognize the author purpose in writing the material. You try to understand the tone. Is it angry? Is it persuasive? Yeah. You have to look at elements, and then you have to look at the bias of the text. There is no text without bias. There is no text without any intention. Must be intention of the author, may be intention of the publisher, maybe intention of the community, and so on. Yeah. So that's critical reading. Simple reading, recognize what the text says, like questions like what's the main idea of the text. You find facts in text, so that's more on the comprehension. But critical reading recognizes what the text says. Then you have to do a reflect on the text, what the text does. You have to infer on what text means, not necessarily what it is, but you have to look at that thoroughly. Simple reading, the reader absorb and understand, that's it. But critical reading, the reader actively recognize and analyzes evidence in the text. So critical thinking is involve a series of complex thought of process that allow you to make judgment, and that will involve a lot of thinking, and then maybe you have to solve some problem effectively. You have to assess of the thinking itself. Yeah, make reason and judgments. It's not easy. You have to involve a lot of things. You have to look at the audience. You have to look at the link between paragraph. You have to look at the author. Again, you have to look at the publisher as well, and then start thinking who you are, which position are you in, and so on. Yeah. Flow of thinking in a critical reading. To summarize this, so you have to look at the main idea. We have discussed that in week 3, getting main ideas. Then try to make summary. Then from the summary, from your understanding, you have to infer something, and then you draw conclusion. After you are drawing a conclusion, you have to check again, make sure the sequence, you look at the sequence, you look at the facts, you look at cause and effect, maybe you compare and contrast, maybe you look at problem and solution. Yeah. So the conclusion that you have here is the result of sequencing, looking at facts. Maybe if there is a cause and effect, there's cause and effect. Yeah. Or you compare and contrast things, or you look at problem and the solution, and then that will result in the conclusion. Yeah. So again, when I this is very important, but it's not just there. You have to make a summary. You should be able to summarize that shortly, and we have done that. Infer and draw a conclusion. Now, component of critical thinking, you should be able to get main idea again, summarize, infer, draw conclusion, analyze sequence, determining facts from opinion, compare and contrast, understanding cause and effect, identifying the problem and solution. It's not, the sequence is not like this, like number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. All of this are woven in your thought while you do reading. Should be active. You should stop and summarize in a paragraph, or maybe 2 or 3 paragraphs, then you summarize it. After you read 5 paragraphs, maybe then you can draw a conclusion, because when you read just 1 paragraph, it's not enough. The evidence is not there, and so on. Yeah. So it's not in sequence like 1, 2, 3, step by step, but this is interchangeable and interwoven in your thinking. Now, getting main ideas, identifying the general idea of the text, get the sense of the text by looking at the title. We have done that. Summarizing, recalling information, thinking how to compact them all in summary. Usually you ask with WH questions to guide you to make the summary. Inferring, you start thinking about the author does not state explicitly by maybe say the main or set the main idea by giving a lot of example or illustration. Yeah, that's inferring. Combining the reader's knowledge and background knowledge and details and clues from the author. It's very much depending on how strong is your background knowledge about the reading text. Drawing conclusion, figuring out much more than what the author said directly. Usually done after you read the whole text. Yeah. Analyzing sequence, the order of the text, which one is first, which one is second, which one happened first, and so on. Opinion and fact. Yeah, this is the fact that's there, what happened there, but then opinion of the writer. Maybe you have to check whether the opinion is verified or unverified. Is there any proof, and so on. Yeah? Compare and contrast. Very obvious. Then cause and effect. You have to be able to understand and able to look at the causes of something, of the event, if there is any in the text. Problem and solution. You should be able to spot the discussion of complex issue and then, okay, this is the problem and this is the solution. So that's it from me for the reviewing of this 4 weeks. Hopefully you understand more right now compared to first week, second week, third week, and fourth week, because we look at chunks of things and you might get a little bit confused because you have to experience by reading a text. I give you a lecture and then you do a text, then we do some activities. Now with this review, hopefully we'll connect everything there. The coming meetings that we have is going to be more on writing. After you able to read text critically, you should be able to write a short essay. Thank you.